Hi everybody, I'm Vicki.
Hi.
And this is Women Who Write. And we're live in the living room and we're live out there in Facebook land. Hi everybody in Cyberland. Welcome to Women Who Write. And I am a registered voter. Are you? Are you? Okay, I'm just gonna give a shout out. I think this is like getting close to like the deadline that if you don't register, I don't know what the deadline is.
It's in October.
It's in October, but that's soon. Like we want to do it now. We want to register so that we're able to vote. These midterm elections are so important. So please register to vote, and please encourage your friends to register to vote. And for all of you, if you would now share this live link, which now exists on my Facebook page, Vicki Abelson, DICKIABELSON, so that more people can join us, because we have a show today that it's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. I would like to know where there is an assemblage of talent. What? By a vowel. I would like to know where this is an assemblage. Everybody's quiet now because they're sharing, but I like that. Thank you. About 7 years ago, I think it was 7 years ago. Was it in 2011? I think. 2012. Okay, I lied. 6 years ago, Mike Nesmith of the Monkees invited us, Women Who Write, to come up to the Henry Miller Library in Big Sur, and we put on an all-day show, and it was freezing, but it was so much fun. Missing today, James Lee Stanley, Allie Willis, Kathy Ladman, and Pulitzer Prize-winning Jane Smiley, and also Mike Nesmith, who's been out on the road. And I just want to give a shout-out to Nez. He was doing a show with Mickey, and he fell ill, and he took some time off, but he's been out touring with the First National Band. He just did a whole tour. But I want to say that he hadn't played out in 17 years officially until that Women Who Write. That was the first day he played out with his band. And from there, he went on a European tour with First National Band, and then he rejoined the Monkees. And I don't want to say it's because of Women Who Write or anything, but I'm saying it's because of Women Who Write. And so I'm just saying. So I hate that expression. Take that back. I didn't say that. Okay, so this is a mini Monterey Henry Miller Library Big Sur reunion, because we've got with us today Lori Lieberman, who Lori is the reason that we have music at Women Who Write, because when this started 10 years ago, a few months in, Lori contacted me and she said, "I'd really like to read. I penned the poem that became Killing Me Softly," and I was like, "You what? You are not reading. You are playing, please." So she did it for the first time in New York, because I used to do it bi-coastally, because I was bi back then. And,
thank God for me.
I love you. Lynn Stewart. Miss Yvonne is in the house. I just want to say, as much talent as you are going to see up here, there is equal talent in this room beyond compare. I am looking around. I am seeing, and if I'm woe to name, because if I name, I'm going to leave somebody out. And then I'm going to be really embarrassed. But there's Jeff Zane, there's Suzanne Wang, there's Sue Kalinsky, there's Jackie Sullivan, there's Miss Yvonne, there's Harriet Schock, who has had a Grammy.
Wait, I haven't shared it yet. No, I'm just.
You want me to wait and talk about you after?
I just did.
Okay. Harriet is not only her own songs, "Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady," which is beyond the beyond, her own hits, but she also is like the premier teacher of other singer-songwriters, and I can't even name how many people in this room have taken Harriet's class. So there's that. And then there's my friend Pete George, who is amazing, headliner comedian, rock and roll comedian, who also teaches guitar. So there's all kinds of, there is so much. There's the beautiful Cassandra, the model. She's gorgeous, and she's my gal pal. We've been palling around together. There's Genevieve Joy. There's so. I have to stop doing this because I'm gonna fuck it up. But anyway, so Lori was the first person to do music. She did it in New York. Then she came the next month and did it in LA. She came to Big Sur with me. She did it on the street with me in North. That sounds really wow. In North Hollywood, we did it to about 3 people. And Elle was there. All right, so the thank yous I'm going to get to in a minute. But anyway, so that's Lori. And then there's Korel Tunador, who I met from our mutual friend Zoe Moon. Zoe, I love you. I love you because I love you, but I also love you for introducing me to Korel, who has also thrice done Women Who Riot, who also came up to Monterey and did it there with us. And I adore Korel. Korel also gives lessons, vocal lessons. He's you'll hear. I don't need to sell these people; they sell themselves. Mo Gaffney, who. She's crazy. I'm going to get to the reasons why. Also has done it. This is her thrice time in the house. Thrice Women Who Riot also came up to Monterey and did that. And her fabulous son Jack was with us, and we had so much fun. And then all right. The whole day was planned, truly, around Keaton Simons, because I have been trying to get Keaton back in the house for 2 years. The man is always on the road. He is always very busy. In case you don't know, his mother and I starred in the N-word. No, I didn't. She did. I had a part this big, but I did get to do a one-on-one with Michael Imperioli, and I'm sorry, but that's worth everything. But anyway, his mother Eliza Simons Roberts, and his stepfather is Eric Roberts, and Keaton is beyond the beyond. And for those of you who've heard him, you know why. And for those of you who haven't, I can't wait till you do. This is a show that you will not see. Where are you going to? Nowhere! Forget about it 11 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to see this anywhere, anytime. Okay, so I want to talk for a moment. I never talk for a moment. I talk for many moments. But I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can because we have a lot of show. And Mo has to go. You can't go until we get to you. Okay, so after you're done, we'll see if I can read this from here. Okay, so I went to New York to take my daughter, Samantha Abelson, who's now a senior at NYU Tisch. And in 3 years, she's a senior because the girl had APs, took 18 units a semester, did 6 units online this summer. She did, and she's going to graduate at Yankee Stadium. And then the Tisch graduation is at Radio City Music Hall. Hello! So that's my girl. And so I went to take her back to school because she needed me. No, she didn't. And she kind of has a significant other. I know! Oh my God. I can't even tell you how happy I am. She's going to kill me for this, but it's too bad. I'm a Jewish mother, and that's what happened. And I'm so happy. I adore him. So anyway, so when I took Samantha to New York, I came back, and one of the Women Who Write, who comes to the workshops every month. By the way, there's fabulous workshops. Cassandra, right? Sue. Please, it's the second Tuesday of the month. Join us. Bless you. Lynette's been there. Genevieve's been there. Okay, so I came back, and Stephanie Weaver, who's one of our women, sent me this deck of cards to manifest, because I made the topic about oh, that sounds really bad. Nobody go into the kitchen, and nobody take your shoes off. Please don't take your shoes off anyway. But anyway, there's a you won't find it. You won't find it. Use that one. You can't go into my closet because I stuff everything into my closet. I swear, if you open my closet now, the entire thing will just fall on you. So I literally stuff everything that I'm hiding in there when you come. Okay, so that takes me at least a half hour. So anyway, Stephanie Weaver sent me these manifestation cards, and you pick one every day, and I pick one every day. I read it, and then I incorporate that into my life. So the very first card I turned over, which is now 2.5 weeks ago, was this. The front of the card says, "It comes not by magic, but by universal law. Start telling a better feeling story about the things that are important to you. Do not write your story like a fictional documentary, weighing all the pros and cons of your experience, but instead tell the uplifting, fanciful, magical story of the wonder of your own life, and watch what happens. It will feel like magic as your life begins to transform right before your eyes. But it is not by magic. It is by the power of the laws of the universe and your deliberate alignment with those laws. Okay.
Is that Esther Hicks?
It is a Hicks. It's not, yeah, but I don't remember which Hicks it is. But it's a Hicks and a somebody else. And so I read this card that first day that I got home. And I've been reading a card a day, but I read this card every day. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what's happened since I started reading the card. So the first day I read the card, and I can't remember what happened within an hour because I am manifesting that I have perfect memory. I actually affirm that every single morning and have since my father. Anyway, I do affirm that every day. But you know what happens? I have been in the practice of affirming every single day for 25 years. Every morning, it's the first thing I pray, I meditate, I think about what I'm going to eat. In other words, and then I affirm. And then what I do is I spend the rest of the day taking it back. I affirm that I am successful beyond my wildest dreams. I have more money than I could ever hope to have. That I am in true love with my perfect partner. That I am thin and fit and healthy. And I do that in the morning, and then I spend the rest of the day calling myself a fucking idiot. What are you, stupid? When are you ever gonna do this? And I become, guess who I become in my head? Not that she would say those things. I talk to myself. I would never speak to another human being the way I speak to myself, ever. I don't want to speak to myself like that anymore. So since I read that card, I'm catching myself sooner. And I have some good friends like Pete who reminds me when I'm not. Pete, you have to get out from under, you're behind the camera. Sit in that seat. Lynn, can he sit in that seat? Is somebody sitting there?
Oh,
well, yeah. So when you're watching a Facebook Live, stuff like this happens. That's just, we just start talking to the people. Anyway, and I just want to say for anybody who's out in LA and watching this in your pajamas, I know you're comfy, but you're really making a big mistake. There's Penny's Kugel, if nothing else. There is a table of food beyond compare. There are hugs to be had with the table of food. There are hugs to be had with boobs aplenty, mashing into each other, and there are faces. But hearing music live, come on! What's the difference between watching YouTube and going to a concert? This is where it's at. Come here live. We want you to join us. And then getting to take a picture with Mo. You know, come on! It doesn't get any better than that. All right, so, well, maybe for me it might be better if I took a picture with Keaton, or Korel. But, that's another story. Because it's not so by today. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So, it's about manifesting. So, right after I read the card, within an hour, I really wish I could remember, I did manifest whatever I was thinking about actually happened, and I thought, oh my God, this shit works. So then I said, okay, so I'm now going to manifest that I'm going to have a perfect day tomorrow with the guy that I was seeing. I was seeing it, this is so bad. I was, see, you have to stop. You have to stop. So, sorry. C dropped a glass. I'm outing her. One glass, I don't know what she dropped. It sounded like all of the glass in the house, yeah. So, is it something that I'm going to miss?
No, I will get you another one.
What was it?
It was made out of crystal and long.
It was what?
The biggest glass in Christendom.
Okay, I don't know. Something broke. I don't know what it is, but you know what?
It was
I will manifest another one. Okay, so what happened? So I said, okay, I'm going to manifest that tomorrow. It was going to be the first day I was going to see the guy. I was seeing the guy for a few months, and we were going to see each other the next day. We hadn't seen each other for weeks, and I was manifesting that we were going to have this fabulously perfect day together, and I was really looking forward to it. Well, as soon as I did that, he broke up with me. And thank you for laughing. And what I realized, though, is that
That's for your greater good.
God did for me what I could not do for myself. Rejection is God's protection. Almost the entire 3 months I was seeing him, there was a knot in my stomach the size of Bermuda whenever we weren't together. There was always weird shit going on. If things aren't easy and in flow, for me, I've learned they're not mine. They're not for me. And It was not, but I can't say that that was an easy thing to accept in the moment. In the moment, it felt like shit. But I read my card, and so that evening, I got a few notifications from my dating apps. And it just so happens that Lynn's looking really serious. So I said, fuck it, yeah. So I matched. So I matched with a lovely guy in far away, but he's been a lovely person, and we've been chatting, and he's just been a nice addition to my life. And I matched with what he calls himself my tall drink of water. 6 months. I haven't met either of them yet. I did go out on a date with somebody. I don't know that I want to meet anybody now, because what happened was when I was in that relationship, no fault of his, all on me, I haven't written an article since the middle of July, because I was always in my head about what was going on. So I was not doing my thing. I mean, I was doing my thing, and I was doing my shows, and but I wasn't. When I was alone, I was texting all because these kids today, Eileen Young, texting, pick up the fucking phone, come see me in person. Anyway, so I have me a nice tall drink of water who is ridiculously young, but maybe the most sophisticated, smart, funny, clever, ambitious, fabulous, a lovely addition to my life. No matter what it's going to be, I have no idea. All I know was there was no accident that the universe brought these people to me on that exact day to sort of ease that. And also, about a week later, one of my closest girlfriends, who had said something that had hurt my feelings when he rejected me, she said that word, and it hurt my feelings, and I said, I have to hang up now. And she's chosen to not be my friend anymore after 10, 11 years of friendship. So that was maybe more devastating than the loss of the guy. Yes, Lynn, you may speak.
I heard she said a word to you?
As soon as I got off the phone with him, I called her, and she said, yeah, rejection really sucks. Or it really stings to be rejected. And it was just too harsh for me in that moment. And I said, I can't do this right now. I have to hang up. But she decided that, and I sent her a note a few days later saying that, that's no misunderstanding is worth losing a friendship, and that I loved her. And she decided that she didn't want to be my friend anymore. Oh. Wow. And that was probably way more painful than the guy, because it's a much bigger loss to me. She's been in my life for a long time. But you know what else I learned? Okay, so Rumor sent me this video. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Look who's here. So Rumor sent me this video. For those of you who don't know Rumor. She's like one of the greatest voices in the history of the world. She's in is it Daryl's Place or Daryl's House? Daryl's House. They do a version of I Can't Go For That is, and I can never think of the name of her original song that is in my top 5 of all time songs, and I can't think of it. Slow. It's called Slow.
Has she performed here?
Yes.
Yes, she did. And she sang Slow, and it is one of my favorite songs of all time. Anyway, so Rumor sent me this video while I was going out with the guy at the very beginning, when I was just first having a sense that something wasn't really feeling good. She was like, anyway, this video, this Reverend Bishop Jake says, if people walk away from you, let them walk. They are not in your destiny. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't mean that they did anything wrong. They're just not your people anymore. Let them walk. If somebody is meant to be in your life, they're in your life. People don't leave who are meant to be here. And when people do leave, it allows space for new people to come in who are going to love you now, the way you are. And so, I love you just the way you are. And that's the kind of thing is, I believe that I love unconditionally. And that means that no matter what you do, I'm going to let you know if I don't like it, but I'm still going to love you. And I might have to walk away for a little while. I might have to say, I got to go now. I can't listen to you right now, but I'm going to come back. One day I'm going to come back. You're never going to leave my heart. And I was on the phone like the very next day after this happened with my friend. And my boyfriend, my first love, 50 years ago, I fell in love with him, and we were on the phone the next day. And it was a reminder that nobody's out of my life. Everybody's in my life except one person who was violent with me. But beyond that, and Bill Cosby, by the way, just got sentenced. What'd he get? 3 to 10. Take that, motherfucker! And you know, for all of you out there who haven't been busted yet, we're coming for you. And you know, I have my own why I didn't report story that because it's somebody famous and it's somebody that I am intimidated to take down, but I don't know, you know, I know. But that's not going to be allowed to go on anymore, and we give each other strength. And a shout out to our girl Victoria Valentino, who stepped up. The New Time magazine cover is all the women that testified against Bill Cosby. So.
By the way, Vicki, I was just listening to NPR.
Yeah.
It's a very important statistic. People need to know that it's only 2 to 5% of women who say that they were raped that actually weren't.
This is a horrible
and people
statistic.
think that it's a really higher number than that, and it's not.
It's horrific.
So people just need to believe women.
Well, that's the other thing, is that the 2 to 5% who do step up, 4% are not believed, at least, probably.
No, you don't understand. What I'm saying is only 2 to 5% of women who say they were raped were actually not raped.
Oh.
It's a very small percentage of women who are making false claims. That's what I want people to know.
I understand. Well, I don't even know if I believe that number. I don't want to even give power to that number because
I'm just saying that people think that it's much
let's
higher
talk
than
about
that.
the 96% that have been. Let's talk about those people. Let's talk about the people that are telling their truth, and that it's important for us to feel empowered, and that we have the right, and that we should, and that we help each other when we do that. We help our sons and our daughters. We help each other, and we heal when we tell. So anyway, I want to get back to manifesting for a moment. So through the course of the breakup, I'm talking a long time, I'm going to try to speed it up. So through the course of having this relationship end, which was pretty devastating, because it was you guys know me, I've been single for 8 years, and I've only had a couple of things that have even lasted a few months. So it was momentous for me, even though it wasn't perfect. It was, that part was really good. So anyway, so I was mourning the loss, and you know, we texted shit all day long. It was really fun, and I missed it, and so I got really sad for a couple of days, and I was really feeling sorry for myself, and so I decided to do what I know to do, and I used my tools. So I prayed, I meditated, I read, I wrote, I made outreach calls, I went for a speed walk and listened to Deepak. I drove across town on Yom Kippur to speak at a meeting and be of service, knowing that the part of town I was going to is very Jewish and probably nobody would be there, a couple people, but it didn't matter. It was more important that I make the trip. So on the way to speak, I was in the car and I was doing my manifestations, and I said, I need a bigger platform or a better platform for my stuff, because what's happening is these Facebook Live videos have been blurry for me for 4 months, almost consistently, almost every time, with the exception of 2 times. I have an iPhone 10, it's not the iPhone. It's not the internet connection. My son uses the same phone, the same connection, the same location every week. His show is fine. Something's going on. So somebody suggested it might be my app. I tried getting rid of my app the other day, but you can't. It's in the cloud. It just downloads the same app again. So I don't know what to do about that. But anyway, I said, I need a solution to this. I write to Facebook in that help thing, like 3 times a week, send them blurry pictures. I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm really frustrated, because this is a quality show, and people and Game Changers, by the way. The road taken is now Game Changers, and with me tomorrow is Judy Tenuta, the love goddess. It could happen. Next week, Will Lee, Late Show with David Letterman, all those years, and the week after that, Bob Cowsill. Anyway, that Bob Cowsill video from when he was here has over 50,000 hits on it, and I get notifications every day from somebody how happy it makes them. Yeah, amazing. Anyway, so I was manifesting on the way to the meeting that I want a place to put the show that it's not going to be blurry and that people can see the signal. And then I also was manifesting that I need a new outlet for my writing because one place I stopped writing for contractual reasons, another place I think she got a little fed up with me because I'm very fussy about my punctuation. I like em dashes, and I drive editors crazy. Leave them in. They're correct. Leave my em dashes alone. People don't like that. So anyway, yeah, I'm high maintenance. So anyway, I'm manifesting this stuff on the way to the meeting, and okay, I go and I speak. Later that night, hours later, I am connected with somebody that I knew vaguely. No, I knew him, actually. And I have a new platform. And right now, at this very moment, Upworthy is sharing this video. Upworthy has millions upon millions of viewers. Hello, Upworthy. Hello, good. Hello, Eric. Thank you.
Wow.
So Upworthy is not only going to be sharing my videos, our videos, Women Who Write, but also my Game Changer show, Game Changers with Vicki Abelson. They were sharing it on all their sites, Instagram, Facebook, all over the place. But also, I'm going to be writing for them. Yay! And if you guys read it and comment and share it, I have a home there. And bigger than that, I have been manifesting a dream for 6-7 years since I started writing for the Huffington Post, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to give it a kin of her up, but if the first couple of articles go well, I am going to manifest that dream that I have held for a really, really long time. Not if, when. So I've asked for a deadline, and he first said Thursday. I said, no, I have 2 long shows back to the back, Saturday. So you will not be seeing me very much. But I'm going to be writing, you know, as long as I don't suck, I'm going to be writing regularly for Upworthy, and I'm so thrilled about it that I cannot tell you. And my point is, not that I'm bragging, but I am. No, I'm not. My point is that card has changed my life. That card has shown me the difference between manifesting, affirming, and taking it back all day, and manifesting and affirming and keeping it up all day long. Yeah. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Tall drink of water. So I cannot recommend highly enough to you to put out there every day, numerous times throughout the day, everything that you want. The universe is abundant. There is no degree of difficulty to miracles. Miracles come. Suzanne knows the value of there is no level of difficulty. Suzanne, stage 4, they were putting her down.
They were putting me down. They said, no, don't put me down.
But I mean, if the power of the mind and of love and of belief and of manifesting can work, you are living proof of that.
Right.
Every single day. It is powerful. Okay, so I want to thank a few people. Emmy Geisel, my girlfriend, thank you so much for working. And I want to say, Emmy made it into her first film festival with Awkward Alley, and it's called the Hollywood Independent
Filmmaker Awards.
And I will be there with my girlfriend. I want to thank Linda Apsey, our director of photography, who takes the best pictures ever. I want to thank Elle Latch, Our Lady of the Letting In. Beauty. And I want to thank Penny Barnett, who, this makes me cry every time, and I'm sorry for your loss. And I love you so much. Penny literally stays here after you leave, and she does my dishes, and she mops my floors, and she cleans my bathroom again. And and she makes the best kugel. Would make my grandma Kat's proud. Thank you so much. Okay, so all right.
She has to pick up glass.
Today she has to pick up glass. No, I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up C's glass when I get. It's done. Okay, I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry that you had to do all of that.
Sorry you had to pay for my being here.
Oh no. Uh-oh, it was something of mine?
It was a creamer.
Oh, I liked that cream.
More cream.
All right, there's
Manifesting.
manifesting a new. Was it the big one? I like that big one. All right. All right, you're coming with me to, what is that place called? IKEA. Thank you. You're coming with me to IKEA.
Use your mind, girl.
All right. So, Lori Lieberman is best known for the song "Killing Me Softly," which she wrote inspired by Don Mclean. She'll tell us the story. I just watched the video where Don sang it, and he gave you a shout out in the audience. It made me cry. It was so beautiful, his acknowledgement of you, which is long overdue because there are a lot of people that don't give Lori credit. That was her brainchild. That was her brainchild. And she was the first one to record it, and that's why Roberta Flack heard it and wanted to do it.
That's true.
That woman. Okay. And Lori shows up for people, and she's beautiful. Okay, best known for the song "Killing Me Softly," Lori Lieberman's poem about her experience watching a then young Don Mclean, not so young anymore, he has white hair, it's okay, which was scribbled on a napkin as she sat in the back row of the Troubadour in 1972. We are so young. We look at us, we don't look like that. When my mother was 40, she looked 90, and my mother's gorgeous and looked so young, but we're so much younger. Yeah. No, not them, her. She looks young. Anyway, never mind. Since then, she has toured worldwide and is presently in the middle of recording her 19th CD. This time with a string quartet from the Netherlands, for whom she's been writing orchestrations for 12 new compositions. The album will be coming out in the summer of 2019 and will be called Lori Lieberman and the Matangi Quartet. They'll be touring in the U.S. starting at Carnegie Hall.
Oh my God!
Which I just want to say, Lori headlined Carnegie Hall all by herself. And it is my heart's pleasure to welcome Lori Lieberman.
Thank you to Vicki, of course, for providing the space for me to come and share with you. And I love you, Vicki, and all you have to do is just say, come, and I'm there.
You do every time.
Even if I had to take an Uber, because I am so freeway phobic that the last time I had to drive, I went like the bike route, and it took me 4 hours to get here. But and thank you, Korel, for taping my guitar, because I lost my little nut. So if I lose my guitar, that's what it is. I wrote this song last year, but it's a little bit more timely now for obvious reasons, and it's called Woman. It's not who you are, something you did. Things went too far, and you kept them hid. You pushed it down, felt less than home. As time went on, didn't tell us so. Now for your daughters you will take a stand and teach your sons just what it means to be a man. Strong and fragile as it unravels, complicated. Woman, no one can shame you, no one can blame you, nobody but you can doubt yourself. How could you what it means to be a man, woman, strong and fragile, endless battle, long awaited. Woman, no one can shame you, no one can blame you, nobody but you can lose yourself. There's no choice, this I know. Keep it in, let it go. Woman, strong and fragile, take off your shackles, they are weightless. Woman, no one can chain you, no one can save you, nobody but you, nobody but you, nobody but you can free yourself. Yourself. Three to 10, right? I actually have a little story about him, but I don't think I'll do it on.
Tell.
I don't think I should actually, because
I didn't know who the story was
I have a little Cosby story of my own. But
Let's hear it.
Oh, come on, now you gotta tell us.
I actually don't think I should.
Okay.
But anyway, this next song I wrote with a woman in New York based on her very own true story. I think the song kind of speaks for itself. 5, 6, and it's called Martha and Me. Let me just tune this up. That's the one. Korel, the guitar is staying where it should be. I'm afraid to move. Usually I really dance. I dance on tables, but not now. Okay, so Martha and I are two of a kind, different in every way. Different hair, different politics, different things to say. She lives in the suburbs, I live in the city. We're joined by our loss, the secrets we share. Martha and I have kids the same age, we go somewhere fun each year. They like to scuba, she likes to windsurf. I watch them from my beach chair. On the drive home, the kids have on their headphones. We can fire and let it all go. We talk about our dreams that ended that day. The sky filled with smoke and everything changed when our Dave and Tommy ran into the flames. They were men of Squad 1, brothers and sons, husbands to us, fathers to our young. Bonds that ran deep like the bluest of seas, like family, like Martha and me. arrive at the hotel and carry the bags while the kids run around and play in the grass. The air on their skin waving like flags. They were men of squad one, brothers and sons, husbands to us, fathers to our young. Now nothing's the same, and it never can be, in our hearts eternally. Still we lift up our glass for what's yet to be. Here's to them and a bravery, and to Martha and me. Martha and me. I'll do it. Why not? I think this will probably be the fourth time that I've done this. What's wrong, Vic? Are you okay?
We're getting a little blur, so.
Not blur. I'm gonna do the whole set again. Actually, blur is good. Blur is good. Not high def. It didn't.
It's a Facebook Live issue. You know what? We just have to say that it softens the edge. It softens our edge. It's soft focus. It's soft focus.
Don't worry, the message is clear.
Vaseline on the lens.
Yes, there we go. It's Facebook putting Vaseline on the lens.
And I wonder if you know that I never understood that although you said you'd go until you did, I never thought you would. So this is the song that Don Mclean was singing when I was in the back of the Troubadour. And
Was there a line that particularly got to you, Lori? Was it the whole song?
I think it was the whole thing, actually, and I think that it was, returning to an empty house and the clothes draped over an empty chair, and I was in the middle of a breakup at that time, and I don't know, anyway, then now what else am I can't tune my guitar, but this is it. I heard he sang a good song, I heard he had a style, and so I came to see him, to listen for a while. Oh, please sing along. And there he was, this young boy, a stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. I felt all flushed with fever, embarrassed by the crowd. I felt he found my letters and read each one aloud. I prayed that he would finish, but he just kept right on, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. There's no whoa, not in this version. He sang as he knew in all my dark despair, and then he looked right through me as if I wasn't there. These are the words, but he was this thing, this stranger, thank you, singing clear and strong, strumming my pain with his fingers. I'm hearing harmony. Singing my life with his words, filling me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. Thank you so much, everybody.
Who might have joined us late, that was not a cover song. Lori Lieberman wrote the words to Killing Me Softly. That is not a cover song, and for the Facebook police, that was not a cover song. You know, I forgot to tell you guys about the manifesting thing, that I also was manifesting that the Facebook signal would clear up. And so I forgot to tell you that this morning when I opened my phone, it said download this new camera for Facebook. And I thought, they did it, they heard me, they listened. And so for the beginning of Lori's first song, we were clear and in focus, and then it was going in and out again. So I'm just saying, somebody who can help me solve this problem. It's making me crazy. All right, these pretzels are making me thirsty. So, thank you. Thanks, Jeff. You always get those jokes. Okay, So, for over 15 years, Korel Tunador has been constantly touring the world. He's speaking right now, but normally he just is playing instruments. He's been singing, playing keyboards, guitars, saxophone, with notable acts like Katy and the Goo Goo Dolls, who he's really played with like everything for 15 years with the Goo Goo Dolls, Jada Pinkett Smith, and others. Korel has performed on most of the major late night and morning television shows in the US, as well as the UK. And in addition to being a multi-instrumentalist, Korel is a vocal coach and a singer-songwriter with 2 of his own albums available. And I actually have a couple copies in the kitchen, so I will give out to, I don't know who the first people who asked me. And yeah, they're already raising their hands. But by the way, all the music today can be downloaded. And please, Lori, how can they download your music?
iTunes or something?
Okay,
or
iTunes.
Or I've got product to the
Okay, so you've got product?
I do, but
Lori's got product.
It's
So
all right.
for those of us in the house, Lori's got product. And thank you, Sue. Gave me a little joke. They didn't know that was a Sue Kalinsky, by the way. Always credit the author. Find them on iTunes. Find them on places where they actually get paid. Did you make money on Spotify?
I don't know.
No. I don't know. Where do you make money, Keaton?
We don't really make money.
Man, they don't really make money.
The NBA just passed the Music Modernization Act.
Okay, yeah. All right. So just find their music and listen to it, appreciate it, share it, go see them live when they come to your town. I'll say that. Korel has a background that includes Suzuki classical piano, a degree in jazz performance from Berklee School of Music, and countless oddball creative ventures, from improv big bands to performances with artists as diverse as Rob Thomas and Papa Roach. Korel records and produces music out of his own studio. I love this man so much that I can't say. I am so excited to bring him up. Please welcome Korel Tunador. So much. What do you do now? You play, you sing, you delight us.
Oh. Okay.
Jokes.
This is kind of like one of those fuzzy daydream tunes called Breaker.
Taste a breaker, sudden death, a panoramic cut around all sky chair maker. Hold your breath, there's bound to be a letdown. Pour time into be a wind-drenched boat who can barely float on its own. Well, your cracks don't show, but you already know you're going down. Past the lighter, supposed to be a fog rolling into town. At least I heard it from a shore survivor who's positive the worst has yet to come down. Oh, to be a wind-drenched boat who can barely float on its own. Well, your cracks don't show, but you already know you're going down. Down, they barely show, but they're still there, you know. They barely show. Spare me the poem. Taste a breaker, you'll make it back to safety after all. Maybe later you'll think it was the greatest gift of all to spend a measure as a wind-drenched boat who can barely float on its own. Well, you made it in with a breath of wind on your own. A wind-drenched boat who can barely float on its own. Well, your cracks don't show, but you already know you're going down. Taste a breaker, sudden death, the panoramic cut around.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this tune is pretty much exactly the opposite. It's like, as you would say in class, 3 chords and the truth. No bridge, cut to the bone. Here we go. It's called We Had a Home. And actually, I don't even think I recorded this on one of my records with a rock band. I don't think I've ever actually played it for a room full of people. I don't know why. I don't even know why. I don't know. Here we go.
She has nowhere to go. She has no home. She has nowhere to go. She has no home. But she had a home.
picks with your name on them. But the even cooler thing is when you know the good people at the Dario, you get guitar picks with your wonderful dog on them. Hit me up for a Tonka Tunador Memorial. Now back to the gloom.
We had no way to know this is where we'd be. We had no way to know this is where we'd be. 'Cause we had a home, you see. We had a home, you see. But we had a ways to go. We had a ways to go. Oh, oh. I phoned it long ago, so you believe. You felt this long ago, well that's news to me. There was a ray of hope, you see. We had a ray of hope, you see. But we had a ways to go. We had a ways to go. We had a ways to go. We had a home, you see, but it still broke for me. We had a home.
Thank you. That's why I don't usually use guitar picks, by the way. It's just- you gotta have a tuck in the throat. All right. So the first one, I guess, was kind of like a hazy sort of daydream. The last one was just kind of cold, like what the F. And this one is somewhere between. What's more of a? This is kind of one of those. I was trying to do what's the most unadulteratedly optimistic, just no cynicism, pure songs I could do. And it's called, I played a few many years ago, it's called Child of the Ocean.
You were a child of the ocean, conceived in the sea. And what a creation you have grown up to be. You have planted a field and flown around the world. You know the order of the presidents and what they did. And when your cookie crumbled, you made it into bread. And when you should have stumbled, you skipped instead. With the patience of the ocean, you do what you say. For a little erosion goes a long way. And like a single wave, you will blow me away. Like a powder keg, ignited by the light of the break of day. Confusing situations can happen in a dream, and somehow you seem to know just what it means. Unlikely situations can take you by surprise, but the past and future seem to swim in your eyes. In anything I mumble, you always understand, and anything I fumble is in your hands. And like a single wave, you will blow me away. Like a powder keg, Bum, 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 bum. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I have never seen the ocean, but was conceived in the sea. I never had the notion that we would meet. I was lying in a field with my ear to the ground, and somehow you approached without a sound. And when I turned around, at first you weren't there. I lifted my head and you were floating in the air. And with a single wave, you were blown away, and you said my name.
I realize that if you're an aspiring singer-songwriter, rock star out there, everything you need can be found in this room. You can take Harriet's class and learn how to write a song. You can then study with Pete and learn how to play guitar. You can then do vocals with Korel, and then you can go to Keaton and get it produced. So you can do all those things just by the people in our room right here. So since we started, I'm thrilled to say that Eliza Simons Roberts has shown up, and she's in the house. We love Eliza. Keaton's mommy, my co-star.
Yes.
Yeah, right. But and the wonderful wife of the fabulous Eric Roberts, who isn't here today. But I'm not. It's the morning, so I get it.
He's watching.
Stop Russia.
He's in Russia.
Yeah, not just Russia, Siberia.
He's watching.
What? He's watching.
He's
Oh, no,
Seven
that's
in Britain.
wow. Yeah. What is he?
He's not even shooting. He's just appearing.
He's appearing. Wow. That. I hope he's dressed warm. Is it
He's
cold there
able to
now?
go to Yeti there.
Huh?
Just
All right. Keaton Simons is the quintessential singer-songwriter, great lyrics, amazing music, soul-searing all the way around. Keaton's sophomore album, Beautiful Pain, includes co-writes with his friend Jason Rance, hello, not bad, and Glenn Phillips of Toad the Wet Sprocket, to name but two. With the exception of the drums on Beautiful Pain, which are played by Robin DiMaggio, who played with Paul Simon and David Bowie, all the instruments were played by Keaton.
Wow.
And if you have not heard Beautiful Pain, is it an LP? It's an LP.
It's an LP.
It's an LP. It is extraordinary. And I just want to say that I had it on heavy rotation in my car until they took my CD player out, and now I have to get creative and make playlists on my phone. But wow, what an LP it is. Keaton's a regular at the Hotel Cafe, and if you have not seen him live, I have. Elle and I went. He's fantastic. Elle is Keaton's biggest groupie. Since the last time that Keaton was here, every month she says to me, "When's Keaton coming back? When's Keaton coming back?" He's back! All right. He's a regular at the Hotel Cafe, and he tours internationally, including opening for Coldplay, for Train, for REO Speedwagon. He's also worked as a writer, musical director, singer, bassist, guitarist with such notable acts as Snoop Dogg. How high was that? All right. Keaton's music has been heard in dozens of feature films and television shows, in large part thanks to the amazing Eliza Simons Roberts, including Sons of Anarchy, Private Practice, NCIS, Malcolm in the Middle, Numbers, and Hollywood Heights. He's also performed on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, Last Call with Carson Daly, and most recently, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, where he performed beautiful pain. Keaton appeared on VH1's Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew in support of his stepfather, Eric Roberts. In support of his stepfather, Eric Roberts. And a performance of his song Unstoppable on the show resulted in gazillions of downloads on iTunes right after. He's hot. He's good. He's great. And I love him. Please welcome Keaton Simons.
I love you too. Well, what an extreme honor it is to be here amongst all of you guys and this incredible crowd of people. Actually, I got another little cool thing that happened fairly recently. One of my songs that I wrote some years ago got used on the show Suits, and then people really dug it, and so now there's like 2.5 million plays on Spotify. I'll play that one first. It's called When I Go. On the day that I almost lost my mind, I was feeling this dirty habit of mine. I've been drunk on your lies, I was buried alive, I've been so blind. I was tempted by fate, and I've been till I break, but I'll be fine. 'Cause you know that when I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. And no. On the day that I almost lost my soul, I've been standing at the crossroads, but I didn't fold. We've been up, we've been down, but you pushed me around for the last time. It's a fight to the death, it'll take your last breath, but I'll be fine. Because you know, when I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. When I go, time to go, I'm never coming back. No, no. Thank you, Vicki. Sorry, it's so hard to lock me down. I apologize, and I applaud your restraint. This is restraint, by the way. She's holding back on her anger for not going. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
You were worth waiting for.
Thank you. I've been wanting to come back so much. And since I was here last, I made a whole other record. I went to Nashville, worked with a brilliant producer named Marshall Altman, who did Mark Broussard, Matt Nathanson, all kinds of really, really killer artists. And we made a record together in Nashville. It's called 1, 2, 3, Go. I'll sing the single, the title track, right now for you. But you have to sing along, so you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. When I walk these streets, I feel a certain passion. When you're there with me, we start a chain reaction. Fall again. I'm off my feet, I'm swept away, I'm stranded. Got my heart tethered, disbelief, abandoned the hard way. I learned that hard way. You built a castle out of sticks and bones. Here we go, when I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go after the months of sacrifice. Where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know a feeling when it's right here. It is 1, 2, 3, go. I hear alone, remember independence. We're gonna bring it all back home and feel that confidence. I should love that confidence. Thinking in circles keeps my mind well-rounded. Searching for subjects just to stay confounded. And try and think. I'm always trying. You built a castle out of sticks and bones. Here we go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go after the months of sacrifice. Where they go, take time to stop and feel alive. What do you know? I know I'm feeling when it's dry. Sing it. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. And then we finally get to start again. Then we finally get to start. Here we go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go after the months of sacrifice. Where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know a feeling when it's right up here. 1, 2, 3, go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go after the months of sacrifice. Where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know a feeling when it's right here. Go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. 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 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. I just got back from a month on the road last night, leaving again in 2 days, and man, the most vicious cold, and this is my 5th performance in a row, so excuse me for having a little bit of weakened voice.
Great. You got water?
I got water, I'm fine.
You sound great. You sound good.
There's only so much that one human being can. I've accepted that about myself. I have limitations. So I guess, there's so many millions of songs of mine that I would want to play, but I think you guys will dig this one. It's another one where I'm going to make you sing along with me, which helps me tremendously. And it's relevant. I wrote it, like I said, I made this last record in Nashville. And Nashville is one of the best examples of just this rapid, everybody's buying everything and building everything, and it's just like, you know what I mean? And the entire city is overrun with cranes, with construction cranes. We've seen it here, we've seen it everywhere. I was inspired by Nashville, but people ask me, is this song about Seattle? Is this song about Dubai? Is this song about Chicago? And I just say yes. Everybody's living in Crane City. We're moving into brand new bedrooms in the sky. Everywhere I look is a broken mirror staring back, reflecting towers built from pills and things that die. And it breaks my heart. But don't it break your heart? They keep buying up the skyway, casting shadows on the floodgates. And they keep moving way too fast, when we just run out of gas out on the highway. On my way, but they keep tearing up the landscape. They keep putting up their new gates. They keep all the greenest grass camped out on this overpass out on the highway. Even with my way to the Crane City, where you could stand beside the redwood tree. It used to be she was the tallest thing to grow. All this greed is just unraveling. It ain't nothing free and we got nowhere left to go. And that breaks my heart. Don't it break your heart? Just let it break your heart. Oh, they keep lighting up the skyway, lighting up the sky, casting shadows on the floodgates. Shadows on the floodgates. They keep moving way too fast, and we just run out of gas out on the highway. Going our way, they keep tearing up the landscape. Tearing up the landscape. They keep putting up their new gates. They keep all the greenest grass camped out on this overpass out on the highway. Even with my way, Crane City. It's all the same city. It's not the same city. It's not my city anymore. They keep buying up the skyway, casting shadows on the floodgates. They keep moving way too fast, but we just run out of gas out on the highway. I either went my way, but they keep tearing up the landscape. They keep putting up their new gates. They keep all the greenest grass camped out on this overpass out on the highway. Either went my way, but out on the highway. Either went my way to the Crane City. Thank you so much for your participation. Well, sure, yes.
Oh my God. Mommy's in that
If you saw it, you
Thank you.
wouldn't be saying right. Jumping to
Sometimes she is right. She's right about that. She's right about that. No, you guys, this is so much fun. I just had quite an intense experience at some of these last shows of mine. I'm a very emotional person. I write very emotionally and so on, but it's been difficult for me to have an emotional release, full, to break down. And man, it was at a show, and it was a few days ago, and I was in the middle of playing a song, and it just, whatever combination of things happened, it happened, and everyone was just there to to hold me, and I can't even tell you, I feel like a different person since that day. So it was just a couple days ago. So I'm really happy to be here and spending this time with all of you. So let's do something fun.
Because it hasn't been fun till now.
About the way that you kissed my neck early in the morning when we're lying in bed. But last night's tossing and turning got your hair in a mess. It's all about the way that you understand. It's that sweet, sexy way that you hurt this man. Kissing those lips got me feeling real freaky inside. If you wanna be loved, I've got it. And if you wanna make love, I can do that too. If you wanna be touched in the right way, then baby, flip on the light so I can see my masterpiece tonight. Sitting by the fire with a glass of wine, fake for a cold rose, got you looking so fine. And cheers to you, honey, 'cause you look so funny tonight. Well, I am crazy about the way that you shake your thing. Makes me wanna give you a diamond ring. It's finished when we started, 'cause girl, you are part of my life. If you wanna be loved, I've got it. And if you wanna make love, I can do that too. If you wanna be touched in the right way, baby, flip on the light so I can see my masterpiece tonight. I said more and more each day. Need it. I realize our love's just a game. No, I want it. You got me bending over backwards just to catch you on the other side. If you wanna be loved, I've got it. If you wanna make love, I can do that too. If you wanna be touched in the right way, baby, flip on the light so I can see my masterpiece tonight. Baby, flip on the light so I can see my masterpiece tonight. Baby, flip on the light so I can see my masterpiece tonight. Play
no, leave us happy. No sad. No sad.
No, I don't want to do sad stuff.
No sad.
Remember when I think last time I was here, I did a song that I felt was appropriate. I feel it's appropriate for the same reason now.
Okay.
It's called Inspiration. Remember that one? Well, you will in a second.
I forgot to say that Keaton also produced David Duchovny's.
It's true. Wrote a bunch of stuff together. Me and Double D.
Double D.
Me and Double D. So this song, actually, I wrote this song the same day that I finished the song Beautiful Pain. Because I started that song like a few months before I had actually finished it. And I was sitting on the couch, I was frustrated because I was signed to a label at that time, and you know, it's just the most ridiculous bullshit you could ever possibly imagine. And so I was frustrated, and I wrote this song in about 5 seconds while I was finishing Beautiful Pain, just to kind of get it out. And it was like this. Left no stone unturned, flipped every leaf and lizard, with your face down in the dirt. You're too blind to be forgiven. I know the sands of time are soft and fine. They slip right through your fingers. Just see you're looking for inspiration, and you don't know where to find it. If you want to find inspiration, let it find you. It seems like you tried everything. The noose is slowly tightening. Newton and his apple, key on Franklin's kite string. I know you felt this way 1,000 times. The thunder and the lightning. To see you looking for inspiration, you don't know where to find it. But if you want to find inspiration, just let it find you. Inspiration strikes at unexpected times. Yeah, it can come as pleasure or pain. Oh, the minute that it's gone, you want it back again. You need it like the desert craves the rain. Oh, baby, looking for inspiration. You don't know where to find it. If you want to find inspiration, let it find you. I'll sing it, baby, if you're looking for inspiration. But you don't know where to find it. If you want to find inspiration, just let it find you. That's beautiful. If you want to find inspiration, let it find. Thank you. It's Tim Rice. Thank you.
If that doesn't give the reason for being here live, I don't, right? I mean, was that amazing?
Yeah.
Keaton Simons, 1, 2, 3, go! And Beautiful Pain, yeah, everybody take your seats back. So I was looking at the comments. Upworthy's not loving me too much. One of the comments said, yeah, there's a lot of angry faces. They don't like her attitude. What do they say? Penny stood up for me on the thread. It's really funny. But yeah, some woman said something like,
He's a troll.
yeah, people don't like your my opinions and my character.
Penny, I knew.
So my future at Upworthy might be short. short. We'll see how that happens. Let's see. Okay, so, all right, Mo said, say 2 things about me. She said, keep it short. All right, so, and I'm losing, I can't even find the last page, Mo, so it's going to be really short. Here it is. No, I found it. All right. Cappy and Mo show. Who doesn't know the Cappy and Mo show? They won Obie Awards. They were they won all kinds of awards. It was on HBO. They had 3 specials on HBO. If you don't know Mo from Absolutely Fabulous, where the hell have you been?
Oh my God, I love that.
And AbFab, the movie also. Tracy takes on that 70s show, Friends, Justified, Shameless, House of Lies, Mike and Molly, Adam Runs Everything, Heathers, Women Aloud, The Mo Show. Okay, Jennifer Saunders declared that Mo is the funniest performer she has ever worked with. That's saying a lot. But what's more about Mo for me is that she is a longtime activist for women's rights, for LGBT rights, and she puts her money where her mouth is. She has a wonderful podcast. What is your podcast called?
Whatever it is.
I don't know.
I don't have a podcast.
Well, you have. They just go live. You just go live.
On the road with Corey and Mo. We just ran.
They just go on live. Whenever you see them live, just go. It's always fantastic. She is my Shiro. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Okay, don't play the guitar and sing. So I mean, that's. Well, actually, I do sing, so I'm going to do a ballad. This isn't particularly funny or anything.
Stop.
Okay. What this is, I started to write a thing about my childhood, so some of it's funny, but it's also pathetic, you know. And I mean paid in the pathos way, not in the, those poor people, yeah. Okay, here we go. My mom's not watching. Anyway, I guess the day the inkling that my family was different than others grew into a full-fledged blot was the morning that my drunken 16-year-old brother Michael crashed a stolen car into the Webbers' living room. Yeah, he did. The year was 1967. That was the year my parents had to take out a loan that they spent almost 20 years paying off. And they were paying for a government-owned home. My father was in the Navy, and the Webbers, like us, lived in Navy housing. That was the first time I remember having that feeling. Like time stopped and something so desperately horrible happened that time might not start up again. And when it did, it always did, things had changed. I was 8. I used to have this feeling many times in my childhood. It seems things were always happening in my family, very rarely to me, mostly around me. When my father retired from the Navy at the relatively young age of 40, we moved out of Navy housing and into a normal house. Of course, Navy housing is just houses. It's not like they're, anyway. I also left Catholic school, which thrilled me because I hated having to wear a uniform and walk a mile to school when there was a public school at the end of the block. Of course, that isn't why I left Catholic school, but rather because when my youngest sister, Eileen, was enrolled in 1st grade, that made 6 children for my parents to pay tuition for. That lasted 1 year, and we couldn't afford it, even with the discounted group rate. So I started 6th grade in a new school, a public school, and a new house. I was ecstatic. There were other reasons to be ecstatic that year. My parents separated, which meant no more drunken fights, and I knew my mother would let me shave my legs for 6th grade graduation. At the time, I thought my parents had separated for the simple reason that they'd finally come to their senses. But the real reason was that my father was having an affair with Mrs. Gilfillan. I know. She was my brother Michael's best friend Kenny's mom. Yeah. She and Dad had innocently, I'm sure, started a plumbing business when my father retired from the Navy. The business went belly up, but Dad and Mrs. Gilfillan carried on a bit longer. I found this out later in life, so was spared the full impact of what was to come. Although even as a 10-year-old, I think I would have somehow enjoyed the mythic quality of it. I came home from 5th grade one day to an empty house, but for my 17-year-old brother Michael. He ignored me as usual and told me that no, he didn't know where Mom was. Mom rarely left the house in those days, except to maybe go to the grocery store. She mostly stayed home, watched TV, and drank. So I wondered where she could have gone. The phone rang and I ran to get it, but of course my brother got it first and answered. I stood behind him to see who it was. Maybe it was Mom. It was. My brother asked where she was and then waited. Then he yelled, "Kathy had a baby? What are you talking about?" Kathy was my 15-year-old sister. She was in 10th grade. So I thought to myself, my friend Melissa was right a couple weeks ago at the Silver Spigot, a bar my parents frequented, family picnic. I know, it was like 60s. Bars had family picnics. My friend Melissa had asked me if my sister was pregnant. I'd said, "No, she's just fat and she's wearing a poncho." And I believed it, but I was wrong. I was gloriously wrong. I was thrilled, of course. A baby, how cool. I love babies. How could she have been pregnant and kept it from everybody? Never entered my mind. I just accepted it and was excited to be an aunt. When my brother got off the phone, I said to him, "Kathy had a baby?" And he turned and slapped me hard enough to knock me down and yelled, "No, she had her appendix out." "Don't you ever say anything about a baby." I ran to my room crying and hurt. I knew what I heard. He had very clearly said Kathy had a baby. I wasn't stupid, for Christ's sake. Well, he'd see. You can't very well hide a baby. They'd bring it home and he'd have to apologize. He was going to get in such big trouble. And there would be a baby to play with. I was so excited, thinking up names and wondering where the baby would sleep. Around 9 o'clock that night, I heard my dad's car and ran into the living room. The baby! When I got there, my parents were bringing Kathy in, and they all looked scared and mad. There was no baby. I was about to ask my mom where the baby was when she said, "Your sister isn't feeling well. She had her appendix out. Leave her alone." My sister looked horrible. My dad yelled at me to get out of the way and go to bed. They all looked like they'd been crying. I burst into tears and ran into my room. I was so mad. I know there was a baby. What have they done with it? Why are they lying? My little sisters, Colleen and Eileen, asked what was wrong. I told them, "Kathy had her appendix out, so just shut up." Over the next couple of weeks, we'd hear people coming into the house late at night and angry whispered conversations. My parents and older siblings walked around like angry mutes. It was like someone had died. I kept half expecting the baby to show up one day. It never happened. In fact, there was never a single mention of a baby ever. Time started again, things changed. Later in life, I found out that the father of the phantom baby was none other than my brother's best friend, Kenny Gilfillan. Yes, the son of the notorious Mrs. Gilfillan, who had an affair with my dad. Which explained why my brother around that time had beaten the living shit out of Kenny Gilfillan. This particular incident went on to have huge repercussions in my sister's life. What had happened that day is that she went to my mom saying she had a really bad stomach ache. My mom took her to the doctor and informed them that Kathy was in labor. My mom was totally unprepared for this. My sister was in complete denial. My mother never really forgave her. My sister went on to heroin addiction, prostitution, and prison. Now, some 40 years later, with 20 years of sobriety, my sister recently heard from the baby she had. His name is Chris. He's wonderful. And he fits right in with our family, poor thing. My sister and my mom have come to an understanding. My mother never apologized to my sister for treating her like that, and my sister decided to live with that. One way things changed is that we went on welfare. Dad was no longer a plumber, right? Remember? And now he drove a taxi. Plus, he didn't live with us, so he had an apartment somewhere. In those days, welfare didn't mean food stamps or TARP. It meant food. Dried eggs and milk, peanut butter, cheese, butter, the first time I ever had real butter, cornstarch, cornmeal, and corn syrup. I never got used to dried eggs. Who would? But the rest wasn't so bad. I'd hide it behind the other food when kids came over. Being on welfare was embarrassing. That meant we were poor. I was ashamed. I mean, we'd always been poor, but we'd never been on welfare. Also, my mom drank more, and I can say now that in some ways, I don't blame her. The Gilfillan family fucked her up pretty good. Of course, at the age of 10, I wasn't so generous toward her. When the landlord came to collect the rent, my mom would hide in the kitchen and send me to tell him she wasn't home. I hated doing that. I hated lying to a grown-up man in a suit. I was scared and embarrassed, but we didn't have the money, and my mom was scared too. Even though my parents separated, they still made time to fight. On Saturdays, my dad would come pick up me and my younger sisters about noon. Then they'd fight for about a half hour before we left. And then Dad would take us to Belmont Park, an amusement park, buy us all-day passes, and go sit in the elbow room and drink till we came and got him around 5. On the way home, he'd stop at the Silver Spigot, of the family picnic fame, for a couple more, and we'd sit in the car in the parking lot as it got dark. I, as the eldest, would finally go in to get him because we were hungry or cold or tired. He'd sit me down at the bar and order me a Shirley Temple, which I loved getting for the cherry. At the same time, I felt bad about my sisters being in the car alone, but not bad enough to turn down the Shirley Temple. Finally, I'd get him out of there and back to the car for home. He'd make us promise not to tell my mom he'd gone to the bar. A couple of times he came close to getting in an accident, but we were sworn to secrecy about that too. Of course, we'd get home and she'd be three sheets to the wind, but always know he was drunk. Another fight would ensue, but at least we were out of the parking lot. After about a year of separation, my parents got back together. At the time, I was incredibly unhappy about that. I'd harbored this fantasy that I'd get to live with my dad and life would be a breeze. I mean, I had 5 siblings. I never got to be alone. I never had anything to myself. If I lived with my dad, that would be great. An apartment seems so sophisticated. People on TV lived in apartments, not in stupid houses like everyone I knew. Turns out I never saw my father's apartment. It was no doubt some crappy studio job with crappy furniture by the freeway. I mean, where would he get the money for some beautiful New York-style apartment? We couldn't even pay the rent on our crappy house. Of course, as a grown-up, I was very happy my parents got back together. But as a kid, it dashed my dreams of finally spending 2 minutes by myself. Something I do to excess now that I can. From the time I was about 10 or so, my father would confide things in me. In one way, I loved it. It made me feel grown up and important to him. In another way, I can remember thinking, I'm 10, what am I supposed to do about it? He'd tell me how my mother drove him crazy and how she never had sex with him anymore. He didn't use those exact words, but even at 10, I got the meaning. I really didn't know how to react to this information, but I'd nod as if saying, oh man, I know what you mean. Mom can be a trial. Mostly we would talk when we'd drive to the store to pick up something. We'd of course stop at the Pink Panther or the Silver Spigot on the way back so Dad could hoist a few and I could feed my Cherry Jones. I knew I could never tell my mom, and I knew it was somehow wrong for me to be in a bar, but it made me feel special and got me out of the house. I think that's why as an adult I felt so comfortable in neighborhood bars. Any neighborhood really. I've been to neighborhood bars in Paris, London, Galway, New York, Toronto, Miami. I feel at home there. I mean, I've been going to these kind of places since I was a kid. Where better? Another time I can remember my family being more interesting than most was one particular Easter. It was always very important to my mother for all of her children to gather on the holidays. She'd always act like it might be the last time. She'd say, all I ask is that my children are together in one place on the holiday. You know? I used to think she was insane. We were always together on the holidays. As I grew up, I realized she was pretty prescient. What with one or more of us sometimes being in prison, we ended up not always being together on the holidays. This Easter I mentioned, I came a little late to the party. I was at my friend Kim's house smoking pot or something. I was probably 14 at the time, and when I walked into her house, my mom was alone in the living room with my sister-in-law. It was Easter. Where was everybody else? My sister-in-law pointed me toward the kitchen, and sure enough, the entire family, all 5 of my siblings, my brother Tim's girlfriend, and my dad were squashed into the kitchen. What's happening, I asked. Katy, my sister-in-law, didn't send a thank you card to Graham's, my sister Colleen said. Oh, geez. That's just great, I thought. What an idiot. You see, we might be white trash drunken welfare recipients, but we sent thank you cards. Our people always have. I can remember my little fingers aching from having to write goddamn thank you notes every birthday and Christmas from like the age of 4. Katy had only called my grandmother and thanked her for the gift. She hadn't written a note, I know. It was honestly just an excuse for my mom to yell at my sister-in-law, the horrible woman who had stolen her favorite son. Needless to say, seconds after my arrival, Katy stormed to the kitchen and said to my brother Mike, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. They left. My mom, all ramped up to yell at somebody, started screaming at my sister Kathy and my brother St. Timothy. This was par for the course in my family. Holidays always ended in fights, tears, and sometimes a car crash. The argument spilled out onto the front lawn. At this time, we lived in a nice middle-class neighborhood, and we were the only family that had drunken front yard fights. It all ended with my brother Tim going to his born-again Christian group, my mom calling my sister a slut as she sped off in her car. I climbed out the window and went back to Kim's house. After that Easter, my mom and sister-in-law didn't speak for 10 years. But yeah, we were an all or nothing family. I never met my father's dad and only brother. He had stopped speaking to them when he was 16 and joined the Navy. I didn't even know how many cousins I had till after my grandfather, uncle, and father died. 3, by the way. I finally met them. They're lovely. That's it.
Korel has CDs. Keaton has CDs. Lori has CDs. Mo has absolutely fabulousness and has to leave soon, so get a picture quick. For all of you out there, I hope you'll come back and see us tomorrow for Game Changers at 7 p.m. with Judy Tenuta, the Love Goddess. And we'll see you next month for Women Who Write with Marion Ross of Happy Days.